Now, without a doubt, stand-up paddleboarding can be a great fun way to get kids into the outdoors and on the water for the first time. When it's done right, it's not only fun, but it's a great way to increase their water confidence as well as their balance and coordination. Now, we've seen this firsthand ourselves with our 4-year-old daughter Izzy. On a board almost before she could walk. She started off sitting off at the front of the board, and Izzy can now paddle along her own board with confidence. Now she not only enjoys paddleboarding with us and also enjoys having fun on the water with her friends. And together now they can encourage each other and help each other's confidence grow. Now, having your kids enjoy the sea and water is no doubt every paddleboarder's dream. But how do you go about getting kids into SUP and confident in the water? Well, over the last 4 years we've learnt a huge amount of getting kids into SUP, so these are our top tips. Start them young. There's no such thing as being too young to enjoy the water. Expose your little ones to water, whether it be the swimming pool, the bath or the sea, as early as possible. It will soon become the norm and they won't think twice about dipping their toe in and eventually holding a paddle in their hand. It's well worth and very important to get them confident being in the water first as well as being on it. And then if they do fall in, they're not afraid of it either. Make it fun. If something's fun, kids will generally want to do it more and more. So get them involved, go with your friends, take a picnic, go on a mini adventure. When they're young, give them something to hold, such as a spade or a net so they can catch some seaweed or little fish along the way. We also found that by using a viewing window or snorkel or mask is also great fun for kids when they lie down on the front of the board. Just have a lot of fun on the water, getting them jumping in the water is all great stuff to do. Be realistic. Don't expect to take your child on a 2-hour SUP expedition the first time they go out. Give them plenty of opportunity to see you do it first. And for them, when you take them out, try really short periods of time. You'll then find as they start to understand, more confidence will grow inside of them. Then they'll be more interested in going on longer sessions. The other thing that's worth doing is actually stopping the session pretty much when they've had almost as much fun as they can have. Ending on a positive rather than ending when they're getting tired or cold or hungry is a much better option. So then next time they'll remember they had a lot of fun and they want to do it again. Choose the right kit. When taking a child on a paddleboard for the first time, it's important to choose the right board. If you're going to take a child out with you, a nice wide board, something of like 32 inches wide would be perfect. Will ensure the board is nice and stable and it's ideal for standing or sitting on for the first time. But once your child has gained the confidence and is ready to paddle on their own board, you'll find a slightly smaller, narrower board will make it way easier for them to use. A smaller board takes way less effort to paddle, it's easier for them to maneuver around, and also because it's not so wide, it allows them to easily paddle with their paddle vertical, as they haven't got to reach so far across to the side of the board to get their paddle in the water. Now obviously bigger kids will need bigger boards, but just bear all this in mind. We also found it's really important to make your child aware of the importance of wearing a leash at all times when they're on the water on their own board, and getting them used to falling in the water with the leash and climbing back on the board using the leash to pull the board back in is really important too. It's important to do this to help keep them safe in the future. Now with regards to paddles, most average adult paddles are way too long for kids, even adjustable ones are too long too. There are some great specific kids paddles in the market. We found that the shortest setting of the Red Paddle Co kiddie paddle was just about right for our daughter at 3 years old. It's also worth looking out for other good 3-piece paddles which will allow you to remove the midsection and take the top handle piece and place it in the bottom section, making it a perfect length paddle for smaller kids. But the advantage of having a specific kids paddle is the blade size is way smaller and therefore they find it way easier to paddle and it's way more matched for their own strength. As well as having the right board and paddle, being dressed appropriately ensures their paddleboarding experience is both fun and super safe. A buoyancy aid or a float is essential if your child is not a confident swimmer. Remember, if you're getting young kids or toddlers into the water, a full life jacket is always the best bet, as it will always make them float head up out of the water if they fall in. Bear in mind, a buoyancy aid will keep them up and floating, but it still requires them to use their hands to keep their face out of the water. Well worth remembering this. If you're in a cooler country like us, a wetsuit is well worth the investment, keeps them warmer, keeps the sun off, and therefore they're less worried about falling in. And a wetsuit will actually provide a bit more buoyancy too. Go at the right time. To help ensure a successful paddleboard experience for the kids, getting the timing right is essential. Flat, calm conditions are a must so your child feels nice and safe. A bit of sunshine is always good, keep everybody warm and happy. Hearing I'm cold in the first 2 minutes is never a good start. Also, from our experience, take your kids paddleboarding after they've had a good sleep and are well fueled up with food. But remember, not straight after lunch, let it settle down, make sure they've got lots of energy, as well as going when they want to go, not necessarily when you want them to go. The timing is probably one of the most important things to get right, especially on the very first SUP session. And lastly, take your time. When kids get into SUP, especially from a young age, it's important to allow them to take their time. Don't rush them to their feet, allow them to feel confident on the water before you expect them to fall in it. As you know, all children are different and they learn in different ways. Take your time, observe them carefully, and they'll soon be willing and confident to move on to the next stage. The last thing you want to do is be over enthusiastic, resulting in a premature dunking, a loss of confidence, and somebody who never wants to go near the water again, let alone a paddleboard. But remember, kids generally have got amazing balance and they really will put a lot of us adults to shame. If you do it right, you could have the best paddling buddy you could wish for. Hope you found this video useful. If you want to find out more about getting your kids into SUP, check out the SUPboarder Pro video which we've done on getting the kids into paddleboarding, where we give you even more tips and tricks of what we've learned over the last 4 years.